We have on the show Congresswoman Geraldine Roman joining us here on Morning Matters. Good morning. Welcome to our program.
Good morning, Gretchen. Good morning to our viewers.
Before we go to that piece of legislation, let's first, I want you to weigh in on what's happening at the Senate. Senate President Jesus Cudero had a long explanation for why this has been delayed, the impeachment trial, that is. And sabi niya, kung sa Kongreso nga inupuan ng iilang buwan bago naipasa sa kanila, bakit minamadali ang Senado?
I think we have to be proactive at this point. If we look back in hindsight, maghahanap pa tayo kung sino sisihin. I mean, that's not being proactive. We should focus on what we could do. And besides, if you just look back and blame Congress for the delays, so bakit nga ginagaya kami? He could do better, actually. So, naririyan yan, what we have is what we have. At least last night, there were positive developments. He was sworn in as the presiding officer, and today we expect the rest of the senators to be sworn in as senator judges, and then tomorrow for the impeachment trial to continue.
You were one of the signatories in that impeachment transmitted to the Senate. It seems that the Senate is pushed to a wall now, given that the limited time frame. Discussing it now would not give anybody a sense of fairness. Yes. Only just following the rule of law, making sure that this gets done. But if it's transmitted to the 20th Congress, it could be nullified from the very start if the Supreme Court rules that it could not be carried over. So parang kung titingnan mo, talirin talaga yung kamay ng Senado at this point, ano?
Alam mo, ang paniniwala ko, dapat siguro ang Senado nag-operate on a worst-case scenario situation. I think it's confident that the impeachment trial could be carried over to the 20th Congress. But what if hindi talaga? Expect na talaga ang defense will question it before the Supreme Court. That at i-claim nila, hindi talaga pwedeng i-carry over. So tayo, we're acting, the Senate is deciding on the presumption that yes, it could be carried over. And I'm also of that belief. Kaya nga lang, nobody will stop the defense from filing a case before the Supreme Court. And no, it's a big possibility that the Supreme Court might rule against the carrying over of this impeachment trial, although there is jurisprudence, etc., etc.
And of course, there is public furor.
Of course, yes.
And pressure.
Yes, all eyes are on the Senate right now.
Okay, let's go to other matters. Your term is ending in a few days.
Yes.
But your brother is taking over your seat, 1st District of Bataan.
Yes. He ran unopposed and patuloy ang paglilingkod ng...
Where do you find yourself now?
Well, I'm open to all possibilities. Definitely, I'll be very active in my own district and continue with my advocacies. One of which, of course, is now it's Pride Month, equal rights, and also gender equality. Nariyan din, I was in touch the other day with our agrarian reform beneficiaries. Today, I think the DAR is celebrating its anniversary. So patuloy rin ang aking paglaban para sa karapatan ng mga agrarian reform beneficiaries. And of course, our crusade to fight against fake news.
So yan yung tatlong pinaglaban mo nung kayo ay nasa Kongreso.
Yes.
So ano yung what would you cite as your major achievements?
Well,
in 9 years.
9 years, yes. I guess visibility would be one. It's not that, of course, everybody knows what the SOGIE Equality Bill is. It's simply an anti-discrimination bill based on sexual orientation and gender identity and expression, which seeks to protect all Filipinos from discrimination at the workplace, in learning institutions, in the delivery of government services. Naging madali ipasa sa House of Representatives, pero talagang ang stumbling block is at the Senate.
So it's still there?
It's still there. What's new, right?
At what stage is it in now, the SOGIE bill?
Well, in the House, because we have been very busy with other pressing issues, issues. I'm not justifying, the status of the SOGIE Equality Bill. Medyo naantala siya dun sa plenary, dun sa period of interpellation.
Sa House?
Sa House, yeah. We reached
Kala ko na pasa na in third
Well, in the
final
17th
reading.
Congress, it was passed unanimously. In the 18th Congress, it was sidelined because of the pandemic. In the 19th Congress, nakaabot kami hanggang doon sa sponsorship speech, but it was not allowed
okay.
to be discussed in the second reading.
Okay, so ganun yung pag hindi, kung even if it's passed by previous Congresses, but it does not become law, you have to go back to square one.
Back to square one.
Kaya paulit-ulit
Oo,
tayo.
paulit-ulit tayo. And it's been 25 years.
So the challenge is to get it passed in 3 years.
Yes, and that's the challenge. And of course, I think it's easier sa House of Representatives kasi kaming mga congressmen, we're in direct engagement with our constituents. And that, yes, we deal with members of the LGBTQ plus community. And we are fully aware and sensitive to their situations of discrimination. So we respond accordingly. I don't know with the Senate. I don't know what's keeping them and, holding them back.
Okay, of course, there have been many misconceptions floated around surrounding this SOGIE bill, one of which is that it is anti-religious freedom, that it does not recognize the beliefs of certain religions, that for one, homosexuality is a sin, that it is not acceptable, etc., etc. Just to be clear,
Fake news yun, Gretchen.
help us again, as you end your term, help us again to understand what the SOGIE bill is all about. What does it say? What does it provide? In simple terms.
Well, to give you an example, people often use religion as an excuse to discriminate. Nothing in this bill will actually stop you from believing that gay people or lesbians or transgender people are sinners, like we all are. But what this bill seeks is to guarantee that our constitutional right to work, to study, to receive services from the government is not deprived dun sa hindi pinagkakait dun sa mga members ng LGBT community kasi Pilipino rin sila. As we often say, our rights and where the rights of others begin. And besides, really, you cannot use religion to justify discrimination. Simple as that.
Isa sa mga nabanggit na kwento sa akin ng mga kaibigan ko ay yung kapag may nagkasakit na partner, parang hindi nire-recognize yung partner niya as the formal representative.
As a family member, okay? Kasi under present laws, if there are major medical decisions, it's usually the spouse who can decide kung i-continue sa life support yung isang pasyente or not. But in the case of same-sex couples, wala siyang karapatan except in the city, Quezon City. Doon sa Quezon City, meron yung healthcare advantage yung mga same-sex couples. They can decide for their partners dun sa mga medical decisions na yun. May ordinance. In fact, Quezon City, kudos to Mayor Joy Belmonte, is one of the first LGUs in our country to approve an anti-discrimination ordinance. Yun na nga ang good news, Gretchen. Kahit wala namang national law, as we speak, padagdag ng padagdag ang mga LGU na
Which
nagpapasa
cities have
marami. Meron sa San Fernando City, in La Union, in the north, and even to the south, meron Cebu City, Mandaue City, even Davao City have their own anti-discrimination ordinances.
Pero sa ngayon, pagkuha ng mga benefits from government institutions, is there difficulty in that also?
Well, for example, during the pandemic, there were same-sex couples who applied for ayuda, and they were turned down. Sinasabi sa kanila, hindi naman kayo family. Under our laws, you're not considered a family, and therefore you're not entitled to ayuda. As if hindi naman kailangan kumain ng mga tao who are in a same-sex relationship. And during the pandemic, that was very difficult.
I do remember there was an incident that erupted over an LGBTQ member going inside the restroom of a female.
Yes.
Tapos nagkaroon ng debate doon kung sino yung inaapi, kung yung babae ba o yung LGBTQ na nagvi-video. Your thoughts on that? I mean, will this bill mandate institutions to have a special place for the LGBTQ or to allow the LGBTQ to enter whichever bathroom they wish? Paano yung ganon?
Actually, this bill will encourage institutions or business establishments to have a gender-neutral bathroom. So nothing in this bill will actually require institutions or to allow transgender women to use women's bathrooms, but it does encourage the construction of gender-neutral bathrooms. And nangyayari naman yan sa mga maraming, like say, mga multinational companies or mga international chains of restaurants. Meron ng mga gender-neutral bathrooms.
Oo. Pero sa ganon, I mean, this bill protects that right to choose whichever bathroom.
This bill will allow you, if you are a transgender person, to relieve yourself. To relieve yourself and to attend to your basic biological need in a space where you feel safe.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's why it's also safe spaces, no. Okay, but when it comes to sa religion naman, kasi meron iba they feel strongly about their beliefs against homosexuality. What if they are lecturing somebody on their gender? Paano yung ganon? I mean, pwede mo bang i-invoke yung if this passes into law that I feel discriminated upon as an LGBTQ member by somebody from this religion who tells me what I'm doing is wrong? Paano yung ganon?
Under this bill, religious speech, that is, the teaching of one's religious beliefs in a religious context, let's say in a church or in a prayer meeting, will not be typified as criminal. What will be typified as criminal is promoting hate speech na sasabihin mo, dapat stone to death natin ang mga bakla o mga lesbians o mga transgender people. That's a different matter. That is already typified as hate speech. But, this bill is fully respectful of our basic constitutional right to freedom of speech.
But how about in institutions? I mean, how will this be taught? How will gender be taught? Is there anything in the bill that says something about that?
No. Actually, in denominational schools, they are free to teach kung ano yung kanilang religious beliefs, and they will not be penalized for it. But in public schools, which theoretically should be non-denominational, respect for people of all genders
Should be taught.
is going to be taught. In fact, it is already being taught.
Okay. Actually, gusto ko lang ilatag yun, kasi in practical situations, I mean, ito yung mga issue na,
Yes.
na lumalabas. I mean, for people to understand why it's important to have one and where are the lines? I mean, the sensitive lines
Yes.
that we're talking about. So, I mean, the Philippines is one of the most progressive when it comes to that, right? We have a huge LGBTQ community. But realistically, what does it take? In your experience already in Congress, realistically, what would it take to have this passed into law?
Well, to be honest, we need more lobbying. And I think, more and more civil society organizations are participating. And of course, we need more visibility, positive visibility. And I think I also contributed to that when I became the first transgender woman to hold a seat in Congress. And of course, I think we also need a generational turnover in Congress. Natutuwa ako, mas marami mga congressmen and congresswomen na bata ang pumapasok. And with them, more progressive ideas. They've seen how things work in other countries, whether in Europe or United States. And they see na kahit merong equality dun sa mga bansang yon, hindi naman bumabagsak ang langit sa mga bansang yon. What you have is an inclusive, what they have in these countries are inclusive societies where everyone is respected, regardless of what their SOGIE is.
I wanted to talk about your recent bill, the Digital Accountability and Services Act. What does it talk about? How does it stifle disinformation?
Well, you know what? Disinformation is a problem in our country. Disinformation, malinformation, and misinformation. These are the different forms of fake news. Because fake news erode public trust in our government institutions, in the system itself, in the rule of law. It polarizes our country, and it also affects our ability to react to national emergencies and situations. And fake news will also shape the mindset of future generations. Ganyan yang kaseryoso. Imagine future generations of Filipinos basing their decisions on fake news. Now, I filed this bill because I thought that this is the bill that would strike the balance between respecting our basic constitutional right to freedom of expression. I'm a journalist myself, Gretchen, and I believe in this basic right to free speech. But we cannot ask the government to actually directly control what is content creation. That would be unconstitutional. So this bill actually involves civil society organization. In this case, the
You
stakeholders.
put the power in their hands.
Yes, parang kapisanan ng mga broadcasters sa Pilipinas. So we have the Digital Media Standards Council formed by association and groups of content creators, digital advertisers, members of the academe, representatives from the DICT, the PNP, and so on and so forth, all relevant stakeholders. And what they will do is actually to fact check based on a mutually agreed upon na set of code of standards, no? Code of ethics and standards. They'll do the fact checking and they will submit the results to the social media platforms. This is where government regulation comes in. We require the social media platforms para maunawaan ng ating mga viewers, yung Facebook, yung Instagram, yung X, ang Twitter, ang TikTok. First, number one, to establish a legal entity in our country. That's the only way we can make them follow our laws. Number two, to keep a registry of social media accounts. Para lahat ng accounts, merong totoong tao. At pwede silang ma-hold accountable. Number three, we require the social media platforms to adhere to the findings of the Digital Media Standards Council.
Isn't it complicated naman to have a, I mean, how could you ensure that the proper accounting of history will be upheld? Paano kung iba-ibang punto de vista mo, punto de vista ka sa nangyari? How can we share a common set of facts?
Well, we practice what we call journalistic rigor. We actually, well, we do fact-checking. We find out if there is actually proof and evidence and basis for our opinions. Nobody, I want to make it clear, fact checker, which is the Digital Media Standards Council with its own code of ethics and standards, na sila na rin ang nag-form, ano? And then you have regulation over social media platforms, not over social media content creation. Ang hirap kasi pag meron kang isang ahensya na watchdog, how can it have credibility? Laging pagbibintangan yan being biased or being prejudiced.
Totoo. Pero kailangan lang siguro pakaingatan din kung sino yung magiging membro niyan. Kasi kahit sa MTRCB naman, sila yung
ayoko
in
ng
charge
set.
of it. Well, we hope your brother carries over the work that you've started in your 9 years.